We're going to move straight into our next panel, insights and lessons from California social equity operators. So thank you all for teeing up this conversation so beautifully. Today, we're going to hear from Reese Benton, the founder and CEO of Posh Green. Posh Green is the first equity retail cannabis dispensary in San Francisco, independently owned by a woman of color. Can we just give it up for Reese for a second? Reese is a San Francisco native who established Posh Green Collective as a delivery service in 2016 and recently opened doors to a beautiful boutique dispensary that offers a curated selection of high quality cannabis products. Reese's dispensary is a milestone for the city's equity program, and we're so glad to have her here today. Next, we have Shawn Richard, the owner and CEO of Berners on Haight. In December of 2019, Shawn Richard and his business partners opened Berners on Haight in San Francisco. Richard grew up in the Haight where he was selling and distributing marijuana before it became legal, and now his shop is gorgeous, features 60 strains of flower, drinks, edibles, tinctures, vape kits, pre-rolls. So much has changed. Shawn also has founded a nonprofit called Brothers Against Guns, which to this day works to reduce gun violence in the city. Shawn, thank you so much for making time out of your busy day to be here with us. Next, we have Morris Kelly, the founder and CEO of SF Roots. SF Roots is a California-based company, and he is a San Francisco equity advocate and business owner. Over the last 12 years, Morris has had his hand in every part of the supply chain, from cultivation to boutique manufacturing to distribution. In 2012, Morris founded Green Cure Delivery, which he operated for 3 years in the Bay Area. And in 2013, Morris also founded SF Roots, a boutique cultivation to ensure he always had top shelf flower for his delivery service. Successfully navigating the first 2 years of legalization, SF Roots is San Francisco's first verified equity brand and is currently available across Northern California. Give it up for Morris. We also have Terrence Taylor, the president of Greenline Delivery, in the house. Terrence first entered the cannabis space by his delivery service, Greenline, in 2009, which is still licensed and still operating today in California and Arizona. Terrence is one of the first minority cannabis entrepreneurs to take his delivery model into multiple legal states. And he also owns and operates a retail brand, Loud Brands USA, which is a self-funded Oakland-based equity brand committed to providing high-quality cannabis pre-roll packs and premium single joints. Thank you, Terrence, for being here. Last but not least, we have Timeka Drew, co-founder of Our Academy and our moderator for this session. Our Academy is a volunteer-run 501c3 nonprofit workshop, mentorship, and open education resource for equity applicants, operators, and others impacted by the war on drugs. It's a workshop, mentorship, and resource group of individuals and companies in the cannabis industry designed to foster normalization through community building. It's also a place to share stories and resources, as well as strategize with other equity and community-focused allies and organizers to ensure disproportionately impacted communities are being empowered in an authentic way. So I will pass it over to Timeka. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we look forward to hearing from all of you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the introduction, Aria. I'm so excited to have this conversation with such a powerhouse group of social equity operators. And I really love that we've created this kind of safe space to be honest and open with the cannabis community about everything we would like to build and everything we've been going through as cannabis operators. So let's just jump right into it. I think it would be fantastic to kind of get a little bit of a backstory from everyone about their relationship with the plant and how they got into cannabis to begin with. I think often there's just so much run to the finish line when you're a social equity applicant or operator, and a lot of times not a lot of focus on where we've been and how far we've come. Personally, I am a medical cannabis patient. I was suffering from Crohn's disease for years and years and was really excited to be able to heal myself through the plant.
So I started using cannabis. I dabbled in high school a little bit, but I didn't really start using cannabis until I was in my late 20s, around 28. When I moved actually to Charlotte, North Carolina, I started getting anxiety. When I lived there, it was a new place, and just getting acclimated with the new place and not knowing where I was at. And it was the South. I heard like crazy stuff about it. That's when I started using it. And it was kind of hard to try to get cannabis, you know, you're in a whole nother place where it's not legal and still not legal. And so, yeah, I had to use it for anxiety and honestly, so I can drive. a lot of people think like if you smoke cannabis, you're not functionable, but actually, I've been driving since I was 16. I have no points on my record and no accidents, knock on wood. But it actually helps me focus, you know, and my anxiety goes down. That's how I started using cannabis, and then start selling it. Once I got back to California, I had a lot of things happen, and I met a lot of people. And you know, a lot of people think that California people got cannabis grown in the backyard, which is not true. And so when I came home, I started doing the traditional market. And like they said, you go from small to bigger to bigger. And anything I touch, I'm not going to stay small. My goal is to get bigger and get done with it. And I started small, some ounces, then to some pounds, and then to 10 packs. And then I stopped. And then this came, legal to do delivery, kind of, sort of. And that's when I started doing my delivery service in late 2017.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing, Reese. Maybe we could hear next from Morris.
Definitely. Thank you, Meadowlands, for having us all here. This is exciting. My start with cannabis was, growing up in San Francisco. I just remember smelling cannabis as a kid. And then finally, when I started smoking, it was just one of those aha moments. And once I graduated high school, there was an opportunity for me to sell edibles to the dispensaries locally in San Francisco. And I had a friend that had just graduated from culinary school. So we put two and two together and started packaging cookies and brownies and taking them to the local 215 dispensaries. And that was like my first exposure to the business side of the plant, as opposed to just, just having weed and, being able to share it with my friends. So that really set me on a path of, where can this really take me in life? And kind of like Reese said, somebody told me like, hey, you can open up a delivery and kind of do what you're doing more legally on that side. And I took that opportunity to go see an attorney and opened up my first Prop 215 nonprofit delivery service. It took me a couple delivery services to get it right until I opened Green Cure. But by that point in time, by going through all the trial and error myself, I had a pretty clear path on how I wanted to operate and run this business. And we were able to take off successfully. And within that time, SF Roots was born, which was started off as a Prop 215 cultivation. And with legalization looming, I knew that there was something that I needed to do, because at this point, we didn't even have an equity program yet. So I knew I wouldn't be able to afford the operational costs to still participate in the industry in the same way. So I really intensely focused on building my brand through the Prop 215 channels that were available. And for 2 years prior to Prop 215, we just really beat the streets and got the name out there and built a connection with the community and volunteered wherever we could. And by the time legalization came, we had a distribution deal and a cultivation partners growing our genetics, and we were able to successfully transition over. And luckily, we're still here, we're still thriving, and I'm still working with the plan I love that I started off with so many years ago.
I love it. I love to hear about the progression from the very beginning. Next, would you mind sharing with us, Shawn, how you kind of started your journey with the cannabis plant?
It started back. Well, let me just say this. I had one of the worst experiences in my life as an eighth grader, smoking marijuana, and I never used it again. And it's just I didn't feel comfortable with it. It had me feeling a certain type of way. So I don't smoke weed. I mean, I might hit a vape pen every now and then just to kind of relax me. But being involved in the cannabis, I started I sold illegal cannabis when I was started like in sixth, seventh grade, and from there it just was an opportunity for me to make money, and I just went all in with it, and I just been kind of like knowing about all different type of cannabis, but never to this extent that what I know now, because back then it wasn't that type of cannabis that was out there. It was either some brown weed or green weed, and whatever you had that was good. You know what I'm saying? Back in the days, folks smoked that brown weed, and now it's the exotic colors and stuff like that. And so the last 3 years, I've been involved with this group called the San Francisco Equity Group that was started and formed by Ken Mitchell and Rudy Corpus. And they brought me in, and I'm one of the founding members of the SF Equity Group. And I was the first one to come out the gate out of that group, open up a cannabis, store. First one that was awarded equity permit in San Francisco, second in the Bay Area. And so I was, real happy to know that, I was able to be a part of this, growing market that once was illegal for us at one point, and to now that it's, landed in the laps of African Americans that have been affected by the war on drugs, that have been affected by poverty, been affected by low income housing, and going to public schools and being able to now have a chance to put forth a effort of building something within the community. Again, I've been around marijuana my whole entire life. My family used it, my father used it, my uncles, my aunties used it, and the fact that now that I'm of age and I actually own a dispensary in San Francisco, I'm real proud of that. And it all that basically changed. Again, as you mentioned earlier, me running a nonprofit organization for the last 25 years called Brothers Against Guns. I lost two brothers to gun violence. And so that had me proactive, really, trying to make a change in folks' lives. And now that I'm on the flip side of selling legal marijuana, it also gives me a chance to take some of the profits that I have coming towards my organization and help build, and work with these young men, and also to teach them about the cannabis, teach them about the legal market. I know we have a lot of young men and young women that want to learn about what's going on. We've sent a lot of folks to the Success Center with Angela, Oyster Dam with Dell and them over there, and to like kind of re-give them the breakdown and the training of what this whole cannabis market is all about. So I'm really happy to be a part of it. Something that I didn't think and couldn't imagine in a million years that I would be part of it. But they let me in the door, so I'm gonna run with it.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Shawn. If you happen to have a headset that you could change to, that would be amazing. I think that we're getting a little bit of audio feedback here. And I know I'm having a little bit of Wi-Fi issues as well. It's a constant COVID struggle, but we will get through it. And then next, it would be amazing if Terrence could share your experience with cannabis as well and how you got into the industry. That would be great.
Yeah. So I was a college athlete, so I never touched cannabis at all. I never anything. And when my career was over, I got into the car business, and I had a little dealership called 510 Motors in downtown Oakland. And my partner in the car business, his name was Jamal Taylor. And Jamal Taylor, his mother is actually Sue Taylor. And Sue Taylor opened pharmacy in Berkeley. Me and him kind of fell out and went our separate ways. But in the process, I came up with the name Greenline, and got with an attorney, Scott Candale, in Marin County. And he put the collective together for me. And I put an ad up on Craigslist and start going ever since then. And the first time smoking weed was I started smoking weed to kind of know what I was selling. Weed was just weed to me at that point. And ran a delivery service from 2009 all the way till now. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Terrence, for sharing. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me right now? Okay, wonderful. Okay, wonderful. We'll move right along to our next question. And I think that everything that everyone shared, I think it's probably best that we just go right into talking about the war on drugs. And really, I think that with social equity, people don't realize how far reaching the war on drugs has, really gotten into our communities, into our personal lives. And they really kind of only think about one or two or three types of experiences. So I think one of the things that's really important is for us to really share kind of some of what we've been through and the different experiences that we've had, so people can understand that social equity operators and social equity applicants are diverse and complex and dynamic, and not kind of one or two or three types of people. Personally, myself, I was affected by the war on drugs when I was trying to go to school and was not able to use my medical cannabis on campus and during law school. So that was like not the same as being targeted by police, not the same as losing someone to police violence whatsoever. But having the access to education being difficult due to being disproportionately impacted by something that I knew if I got caught with it, it would be different than if some of my other cohorts in college or at law school perhaps got caught on campus with cannabis. So if some of you could share some of your personal stories about the war on drugs and how you feel social equity can help kind of right those wrongs, because I know some of these programs as well perhaps don't go as far as we'd like when it comes to talking about community reinvestment and how we make sure we are addressing the disproportionate impacts in the communities that were really pounded by police. So, what can we do as cannabis operators, and what should the larger community be doing as well to address the war on drugs? And let's go ahead and start with Reese.
I would love to jump in on that one. A lot of people know my story's been out there of how I was affected on the war on drugs. But I don't think people know, when I say affected, mean my whole immediate family, all my immediate uncles, my immediate auntie, even my grandma and grandfather. My grandfather even passed away. He couldn't even talk anymore. He had HIV. My mom did, and so did one of my uncles from from the war on drugs. My dad was incarcerated more than half of his life. So when you say war on drugs, when I say fully affected, when I go through everything I go through this industry and the hardships and things like that, I have to know that I have to do this for them, because they didn't have an opportunity. This was put in the community, and I didn't live in the projects. We lived in the suburbs. So this was put in the community to destroy the strength and to continue to break up Black families. And they did an amazing job with doing that, because every day when I see young Black kids out there, even the person that vandalized my store, they have no hope. This person been in and out of jail. She lives in the projects, and she see other Black women that are successful that come from where she come from as a threat. So what I wanted to do and have made it a point to do is to give back to the community. When people ask me, what do I want to do? Yes, expunging records is great, but I don't want to wait till the people have the problem. I want to be proactive to the problem. So we've started a program here in San Francisco with Kaliva, where we give back profits from us selling certain items to the community. We've already earned in less than a month over $2,300 in gift cards, $25 Visa gift cards, which we're still curating a program for people like me. There were days when I had to go to school and I didn't have any food, or had nowhere to wash my clothes and had to wear the same clothes. So I love clothes, and I love to look nice, because there were days when I couldn't look nice, but still had to go to school because my dad taught me school is very important. So being a kid that was really affected by the war on drugs, there's no amount of money, no amount of cannabis clubs that could pay back for what I've been through. When I'm at my store, my mom can't go there. My dad's incarcerated. The city has took my son right now. You guys don't know, my son's been locked up for 130 days for something that happened 6 years ago. And the DA took him, and we never knew about it. Just literally when I was about to open. So not only did I work hard to break generational wealth and to work hard for my son to be better, the system came and tried to break us up again. And so not only have I been through what I'm doing, I'm still going through the storm, but I'm still able to create programs for kids. This is the reason why I made Kaliva partner with me like this, because we need food. Kids need food. There's things kids need. You know, you have to build up the foundation. And I think what a lot of cannabis companies aren't doing is building up the foundation. We've been open less than 3 months. I'm not even making a profit. We're barely making it work. But what I won't do is leave the community out and leave them fucked when there's all this money here.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And absolutely, like, you are the type of person that they want to empower to be able to put money back into the community, because so often you don't hear about people being passionate about making sure that they are figuring out ways to serve the community. And I have so much respect for that. And it really is inspiring to all of us, and to really be kind of dispelling those notions of like, look, you know, whether you come from the suburbs, whether you began low income like myself in life, you know, you can rise to these heights and you can do it. You can build these amazing multi-million-dollar companies. So it's not that we're low income and then the only way we're going to have a chance is if we bring in investors who know we can build this. We have it within ourselves. Next, I would love to hear from Morris about the war on drugs and community reinvestment.
Yeah, I guess this is a part of my story I don't usually share, because it's one of those things growing up, or just being involved in the industry traditionally. You know, you don't really talk about these things, but you know, growing up in San Francisco, being involved with the traditional market, you know, I did come in contact with the police a lot, and you know, for a certain period of my life, I thought it was okay to go to jail. I thought it was part of the game. I thought that's just what happened naturally. And, you know, literally cannabis, you know, got me out of that struggle. 5 years ago, the last case I caught, was a trafficking case, which involved one of my grow houses getting raided, one of my houses getting raided, and a couple other spaces. And at that point in my life, you know, I was involved with the medical marijuana, and it was one of those times where I just saw the writing on the wall that, you know, I had to, you know, I really had to get into this legal cannabis thing to try to save my life. And the whole time that I founded SF Roots, for those first couple years, I was fighting this trafficking case while trying to start this legal business. So I was literally leading to two different lives, two different mind states per se. You know, I couldn't let my team that I was building know that, you know, I could potentially be facing 10 to 15 years in prison. But at the same time, I believed in myself and what I was doing so much that I knew I had to continue. And I mean, during this time, I had a partner of mine go to jail for 7 years for cultivation in Texas. I had another partner of mine go to jail for another 7 years for cannabis possession. And, you know, I'm struggling trying to get this business off the ground through the equity program, and at the same time fighting this case with all the legal battles. And luckily, I was able to come through the case and beat it, and continue to successfully build my cannabis business. But I say that to say that, you know, for that certain point in that time in my life, I didn't really know what was right. I had a wrong thought of like what was really potentially possible for me. So for me personally, I feel like it's one of my jobs and obligations to make sure that I can help as many Black and brown operators get into this legal cannabis industry, because it's an industry that was, you know, built by us. You know, there wasn't, I've been selling weed for a long time, man. And, you know, a lot of the people taking the chances before this became cool weren't the people that you see on the front lines pushing marijuana today. And that's just a fact. So for me, it's very personal to make sure that I can get as many of us across that border, just like I did, and really institute generational wealth inside of our communities. And that's what I'm pushing for now.
Thank you so much for sharing, Morris. I think one of the themes that we're seeing here is that the war on drugs obviously is not over. The war on drugs continues. And even everything that we've dealt with previously coming into this new kind of regulated space continues to follow our communities, continues to follow our family and friends. And it's something that we're still battling, something that still keeps us, it keeps us focused and motivated, but it's also still something that we're contending with. Shawn, would you like to share your thoughts? And then Terrence after that?
So, just like so many, I'm born and raised in San Francisco. I've been here my whole entire life, 52 years. I'm 52 years old. I have been affected by the war on drugs, not just personally, but, by my family. And, my father was addicted to drugs. That led to him and my mother breaking up and my mother becoming a single parent. And as me being the oldest child in the house, I decided to step up and do something about it and, and take care of the household and provide for the household. That means getting out there hustling. So I started off at a young age selling marijuana, and it went from marijuana to powder cocaine, from powder cocaine to rock cocaine, from rock cocaine to heroin and pills and so on. And whatever I could sell, I was able to sell it to make money to provide for my family. My father eventually died. He had HIV. I don't make it a secret. He passed away, and my mom passed away of cancer. But before my mother passed away of cancer, I was trying to help treat her with marijuana, and she kind of she never smoked, she never indulged in any of that. And so when she tried it, she said she felt a lot better. She started gaining her weight back, and so that led me to pursue it even harder, along with trying to sell marijuana. But being affected, my whole entire family. I've been arrested, spent 3 years of my life in the penitentiary, came home, decided to do the right thing, opened up a business on San Bruno Avenue. But still in all, I was still looking for another avenue of growing with financial growings, of trying to have more money in my life to help take care of my family. While I was gone, my two younger brothers was out there struggling and trying to provide for my mother. My mother was struggling. And so, that just made me jump back into the game a little deeper than what I was before the first time. And so at that time, I was part of the Omega Boys Club. And if you read Dr. Marshall's book, I'm in the book where the feds was watching my store, and one of the feds officers walked in the store and said, "Hey, we know what you're doing. We just ain't got nothing on you, but we're coming for you." And 2 days later, they ran up in my store, didn't find anything, because at that point, when they said that they was looking at me, I shut down all operations and just kind of laid back. But I say that to say that me having this cannabis dispensary open now and making sure that funds are going back into the right organizations of helping young folks that need help. And I made sure that with my partners, I told them that, hey, if we're not giving anywhere between 5 and 10% of our profits back to the community, then I'm not going to be a part of this. And so they all signed off on it. They all agreed to be a part of this. And so they're at this point right now, what Brothers Against Guns is doing now, we not only give back to the organizations, we also feed the homeless. We work with the homeless population, Mother Brown, which is United Council. I grew up in the Fillmore area and I grew up in the Bayview area. So we're pretty much the organization Brothers Against Guns is all over the city, that we do a lot of community outreach. We give back, and a lot of the profit that we make from the store will be going back to these organizations, to help, fund these organizations like, the Rebels and different youth basketball and football teams, baseball teams. We want to make sure that these kids stay active, stay outside, get some positive feedback from mentors that's going to help them grow. So one of the things that I know personally, losing two brothers to the streets and knowing that, making a difference in a young lady and a young man's life goes a long way. So that's my goal, to make sure that, organizations, get the help that they need, such as Brothers Against Guns, United Players, Turf, SVIP, and so on and so on. So we just want to make sure that we work with all the organizations that's going to benefit from this. And we want to make sure that these kids don't get involved, don't get caught up. But at the same time, if they want to learn the business and know the business, we want to be here to teach them and educate them and show them the right way.
Beautiful. Such a wonderful leader in the space. Really appreciate you sharing everything that you've been doing. Really focusing on the fact that the war on drugs is so much more than just losing our freedom in jail. It's losing housing. It's not developing green spaces in our community. It's losing our ability to have education. It's losing our mentors. So I really love that you're addressing so many of those things with your programs. Next, we have Terrence. Terrence, if you could share with us, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I grew up in East Oakland, in 76 and Outlook. So all my friends, everybody grew up in that area. And fast forward in life, a lot of people had issues with the law from selling drugs or whatever it may be. I never really got involved in it, fortunately, until Prop 215 and the delivery service. But what ended up happening is we thought we were doing the right thing and taking the right steps. My best friend, a lot of people on this panel know my brother, Jason Washington. That's my best friend. We have the same father, and we communicated every day. And he's going to be on this panel later today, but every single day we talked on the phone. And he had 4 dispensaries, and the biggest dispensaries in Montana, medical dispensaries. And he got raided by the feds. He got locked up. All them phone calls was in federal, it's scary being in a federal courtroom with nothing but white people, and it's y'all 2 brothers. So that was some scary shit. My brother ended up getting locked up. He was facing 10 years, I think, and wiggled out and ended up getting, I think, 24 months. He did 18 months of that. So from medical cannabis, not streets, no nothing, my brother had to go to federal prison for this industry right now. So Black people and brown people need to be the ones benefiting and profiting from this, because if it wasn't for people like us, like Morris said, none of this would happen. It wouldn't be cool and it wouldn't be sexy to be in the cannabis space if it wasn't for the sacrifices that people had to make. And so my goal and vision for it is to bring as many people that look like myself into this space and use my license to catapult them and get out of the streets and get into shelf space. That's my goal.
Thank you, Terrence. I love it. I think the next question that I want to ask, based on this, what we've heard shared, is that what is one thing that you would want to relay to folks who have not been affected by the war on drugs, or perhaps policymakers who this is just a concept and they don't have people within their lives that it has affected? And kind of the misguided policing that we're seeing even across the country in places where it's not legal yet, or we don't have social equity programs. What would the one thing that you would want to share with them be? And for this, we'll go ahead and start with Reese.
Repeat the last part.
I was just saying, what is the one thing that you would like to share with them? If you had kind of one set of guidance or one, story or some kind of information that you would share with them, what would it be?
With the equity people? Sorry, I didn't hear it.
Just anyone who hasn't been affected by the war on drugs, whether it's investors or policymakers, any of those types of people.
I think they don't give up for people that's in it. And I just think you need to assess your goals. Everybody's not meant to be an actual retail owner. Everybody's not meant to cultivate a brand. I think everybody see retail and let's do it. It is the hardest thing there. And I mean, yeah, it's crazy, but if you that's what you want to do it. But I think you should assess your strengths before you pick a place in the cannabis industry. I think, need to keep great relationships and stay out of gossip and cliques, because this is a small industry and that's the quickest way, to not be able to move forward, because you have decided to, not support the whole group. And I just think for the policymakers, this is real. San Francisco haven't got their money yet. We waiting for our money. And the sole owners need it really bad. I've been footing this bill for over 2 years, and they're giving $100,000, which is nothing compared to what I've spent. I spent over, a $500,000 trying to get this going. And if it wasn't for my hard work and my connections, I wouldn't even have this store to have a story to show the equity program is going. There's a lot of changes that need to be made and made immediately. And I've always told them that, even when I was going through the process, when I'm in the process, after I open my store, and and I think if people and the policymakers start making these changes, even with taxes, even with like us paying for every year we have to pay, a renewal. It's a lot of things. There's no guidance in this industry, no guidance on how to do your business. And we do study, but this is new for everybody. So just imagine people who are lower income, who don't have the lawyer money. I've been my whole lawyer this whole time up until just recently. And now I have one of the best law firms out there. But, we need the money.
Absolutely. I love that. And, folks who are part of the traditional market are the folks who actually have the experience to know how to run these retail operations to begin with. Oftentimes it's investors coming in wanting to learn about the industry, and really they need to be taught by the folks who have been affected on the war on drugs, the folks who were the ones selling and making sure that we were able to access medicine before it was legal and access our cannabis before it was legal and regulated. Morris, what would you have to say to folks who have not been affected by the war on drugs, don't really understand it, and perhaps don't think that folks who have been formerly incarcerated, just don't have the ability to run a social equity business?
I think one of the biggest issues that we have is that the current state of the equity program is being dictated by people who don't know anything about equity. Yes, it's a beautiful opportunity. Yes, it's an amazing thing that's what's going on. But at the same time, it is a catch-22, because you're allowing us, this amazing opportunity, but there's no resources. You're taking one of the most disadvantaged populations and giving them an Aston Martin, people who've never seen a car before, and you're expecting them to turn something out of it, and that's like, the one thing that I would say is that we need more voices of the people who've gone through this struggle being listened to at the top level. I know that, there's a lot of companies that are trying to come out with equity programs. And, for me, it's not necessarily about giving somebody a handout. It's more or less about giving them opportunity, a fair shot, a seat at the table, resources to actually be able to survive. And I think that once we're able to encapsulate that as the mission of, equity, of bringing people together, supplying the actual resources that they need, and actually giving them the environment to thrive, then I think that'll be, that's where we need to start. Because right now, like Reese said, if she didn't have the connection, she wouldn't be open. If Terrence didn't have the foresight to open under Prop 215, for me, an example, I've always wanted to sell legal cannabis. So as soon as I had an opportunity, I switched everything, and I said, come on, guys, we're going straight and narrow, which sucked. We didn't make any money. You have to foot the bill. There's some days that you don't know how you're going to pay rent, but you believe in this mission. You believe in yourself. So that's what I would say at that point. And like, just moving forward collectively, it's like we've kind of had to come together as a community within the equity community to be able to support each other. Like I'm a founding member of Locals Equity Distro, which is a group of equity applicants that literally have gone through hardships dealing with other companies and other people who aren't equity, trying to take advantage of us, thinking we're just another meal ticket. So we've had to form together to give ourselves a safe home where we feel protected, so we can grow. And I think that, with the regulations opening up, with shared licensing opening up, I believe that that's going to be one of the biggest sparks in the equity community, because we're the ones who've been here for each other the past 2 years. And, it sounds nice and it sounds good, but when it comes to the end of the day, there's a lot of these people I don't see in the communities. I don't see at equity meetings. I don't even see at City Hall. So I think that that's where it starts, is like, people actually reaching out and becoming part of the community that they desire to help.
Such good points, Morris. You're really asking, do we even have social equity right now? And I think the answer is no. And we're trying to kind of build it. And like you're saying, you know, we got to kind of come together ourselves as the social equity operators and figure out the solves to help each other, which I think so many people are doing, but we obviously need more of that. That's definitely why we kind of pulled together our academy and are so grateful for so many of you that are a part of this meeting right now who are a part of helping social equity applicants through that program and helping build that community as well. Next, we'll switch it up a little bit. We'll go to Terrence and then we'll go to Shawn.
No, I think like what we said earlier, social media is, social equity is important because we started this. You know, if anybody should have a shot, it should be the people that did it from the jump. And I think everything everyone else said is true. We've supported each other. Like I carry Morris's stuff, I carry Ramon's stuff. Reese carries my stuff in her store. Like we had to come together and band together. And I think people that don't know about it, they should learn about it. And these are the reasons why, because we started this industry.
Thank you, Terrence. Shawn, would you mind sharing your thoughts on what we should be telling people who don't understand the war on drugs and you know how they can get involved, what kind of policy changes we should be making?
I think one, we need to let them know, don't be so quick to judge. Don't be so quick to, you know, try to take advantage of the equity folks that have came up through this. I have worked with a few people, you know, that has equity brands, and Morris is one of them. I haven't yet worked with Reese yet and Terrence yet, but I mean, that's going to come soon. But I think that we need to understand that, you know, when we say we equity, we need to show folks that's equity more love so than we show anybody else. And I can honestly say, and Morris can be a witness to this, is that I am one of the first persons to put his stuff in my store as an equity store owner, you know, to let him know that I mean what I say. And I think that we have to educate folks that doesn't come from this background, that doesn't know about equity. We have to educate them. We have to give them the knowledge and the insight of what they need to know to be able to support equity. Just because you have these millions of dollars and you have a lot of money and you want to come in and you want to, you know, take over this person's equity business and, you know, and pay them a certain amount of money every month just to keep them out here, that's a no-go. And I honestly can say is that cookies that I hooked up with the cookie brand, which is, you know, initially because we couldn't call the store cookies because San Francisco doesn't allow us to use any words like cookies, sweets, candy, and anything like that. So the store was initially called Berner and Shawn on Haight. And I took my name off. I said, well, you know, I don't have no ego problem. Take my name off of that. You know what I'm saying? He has more of a platform. He has a brand. Let's move forward. But I say that to say that I sat down privately with Berner and he came to me and was like, Shawn, I want to teach you this game. I want to show you this game. And I want to educate you on this. I want to work with you. You have an equity applicant. I don't want to just give you some money to slide you out. I want to give you some money to build you a store. You know what I'm saying? For you to have insight and input on it. And I can honestly say people don't know this side of the story that I'm telling you guys, but I'm gonna lay it out on the line because there's been a lot of, you know, gossip and conversations, and people don't know the truth. But Berner doesn't own the store. He owns the brand. Shawn, Richard, and my partners own the store. And so I want to be very clear about that. What Berner did, Berner came in and gave me the knowledge and educated me about, you know, what it's going to take to run a store. Everybody think because you have a store, it's a lot of work with this. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I never worked this hard in my life. I always work smarter, not harder. I've been working real hard to honestly put this store and keep this store in place to where it's making top dollars every single day. And the fact that, you know, I sat down with him and he gave me the knowledge, gave me the game, educated me, showed me, you know what I'm saying? Because this is all new to me. You know what I'm saying? A lot of this stuff that I learned is new to me. And I learned this over the last 3 years, you know, going to Amsterdam, going to the Success Center and being around Berner and talking to him and getting educated and getting knowledge about, you know, certain things as far as on the business side and on the weed side. So when this opportunity came, I'm gonna be honestly with you guys, and Berner would tell you, and my partners would tell you, I didn't want to do this store with the cookie brand. I was like, nah, I want a mom and pop store. I want to be where I can control the outcome and be able to take care of my community, take care of my family, take care of my friends. I want that. And everybody was like, man, this is an opportunity. So when I sat down with Bernie, he was like, Shawn, you will have full control of your store. I'm not going to tell you how to run your store. We're going to just do the branding part and you do the rest. And that's what it's been. He's the branding part of the store. But the store is ran by me every day. And the knowledge that I have over the last 3 years I have implemented into this store. And I've always been a businessman. So out of my 52 years, I probably only had about maybe 8 jobs in my life, you know, if that. And so I know how to run a business. I know about workers' comp and taxes and payroll and stuff like that. So, and everything that comes along with it on the back end. And so sitting down with him, giving me the insight of the weed part was an educational, you know what I'm saying, one-on-one university that I graduated from within 1 year, within 6 months. And so I'm saying all that to say is that this is a partnership that I have with the Cookies California. This is not they run the store, they have control. And I'm being very clear, very transparent with this, that this needs to be said because a lot of folks been saying a lot of things that they don't know about, but I'm putting it out there. Folks that don't know about equity and don't know about branding, you need to get educated on that, because at the end of the day, I can honestly tell you guys that this is a partnership. And I would tell anybody that that's not equity, that don't know about equity, and want to get into this business, don't be quick to pass judgment before you know about what's going on the back end. It's always a front end and the back end, you know, and you come up to my store, you know what I'm saying? We're open 7 days a week from 9 to 10 o'clock at night. They will tell you, you're going to get an experience that you never got before, because we're going to make you feel like, you know what I'm saying? You're coming to buy some product, but you're at home smoking the product already, so before you even brought it. And that's where we at with it. So I just want people to know that equity is very important to the community. Equity is very important to the people that's not equity, and they need to know that. And so with that being said, I just wanted to let you guys know that overall, with the equity program, at the end of the day, you as the equity owner and equity partner, I don't call myself an equity applicant. I'm an equity partner. You control how you move and how you operate.
Dropping so much knowledge on the way it really works. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Shawn. I know we're getting close to time. I don't know if we have time for one more question. Arya or David, give me a little guidance there.
Go for
Sure,
it.
we do.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, great. So my last question is, for all of the folks who are watching who haven't had a chance to apply for a license yet, but would like to, or perhaps already have the ability to operationalize a license, but they need an investor and they don't know where to start, asking you all as incredible leaders and mentors in this space who have done it before, what did you do to find an investor? How did you get your funding to be able to operationalize your licenses? And with this, let's start with Reese, as we have been.
Well, they have a website at the equity program on their website, how to find investors. So you can email them, their information is there. I went through that process. I emailed a lot of people, had a few meetings. And because I think I already had a license, because I got one of the first 10 licenses in San Francisco for my delivery spot, it was a little harder for me to get an incubator. I don't think at the beginning people were trying to be so greedy that they really didn't want to incubate and do the right thing. And so, but I wind up selling part of my company to a company in Santa Ana called Puffy Delivery, Mr. Nice Guys. They were a delivery company there in Vegas. So we went into partnership in 2019 January. That somehow didn't work out. And so that's where I was able to collect those funds and put towards my dispensary. And I just think if people want to go, go to the website, read. Like a lot of equity applicants said can't find it. It's like, because you're not clicking. And I don't mean to be like that, but I'm tired of hearing, I don't know. It's right there. It was so many workshops. When it was time to get the money and we had to go on a commission, guess what? There were 2 people that showed up. Everybody wanted the money from the city, but it was only 2 people that showed up when they wanted us to come to City Hall to talk about the money. And I don't think that's okay. If you're really about this business and really about equity and really about it, you need to show up, and not show up when it's just a check going to be passed out, or not show up after a policy has been made. It's not fair for the people that work 18-hour days and trying to create something for people who really don't want it. They want a golden ticket. Nothing here is free. Everyone has to work. And I think people are looking for, oh, here it goes. That's not how it's going to work. And if you feel like that, you need to stay at your other job that you've been at.
Absolutely agreed with you, Reese. And it's great to hear you vet out some of those resources as well, because I think sometimes we might think, oh, are those resources real? Are the people on that list actual investors? Like, what's the deal? So it's great to hear that you actually contacted them, that it is real. It's a good resource. So folks who are in San Francisco, please hit that up and check it out for your investor needs. Morris, what has been your experience? How have you been raising money?
Raising money, I don't know anything about that. I kind of just, I started small. Like I said, I started in the Prop 215, originally in the traditional market. And I kind of just like snowballed whatever little money I had at the time. And, there were times where we didn't have product, and I would sell T-shirts at carnivals, at events, at outside lands, like just to be able to keep the brand name in the eye, still stay active. So for our story, it's really just about working with the right partners and people who have the same values that we have, that believe in our mission. And like one of my good friends, Ramon, says, my grind is my investment. He just tatted that out. So it's like, most of my days start at 4 a.m. I'm on the road, and they won't end until 9, 10 o'clock. And, that's kind of how we got here. When I was building the brand, we did 5 shows a week between Sacramento and Tracy. And, people ask me now, and I'm like, dude, I'm just a hustler. Like, this is all I know how to do. So you give me a legal avenue to do it, and I can put all my hustling skills, talent, towards the right track and just speed on. So definitely that's like what the equity has allowed me to do. It I can say it's honestly allowed me to be the businessman that I always knew I could be. And yeah.
I love it. Giving hope to all the folks who have not found investors and are thinking, can I do this myself? Can I do this with a little bit of savings that I have? Can I do this with my friends and family coming together to help me out? The answer is yes, we can do it together. So I really love to hear that as well. Next, let's go to Terrence. What has been your experience with raising money?
I haven't raised any. It's been the same. I'm just a hustler. So 215 is just, this is still 215 to me. It's just we got a couple of loops that we got to go through, but the trap never stopped. And luckily I got good credit and got a couple personal loans, but that's it. I own my stuff outright 100%. No loan, no, didn't sell anything out, and just all hustle.
And I love that. That's a lot of things that people don't think about as well, about the fact that, we can take out loans to start our own businesses. We can leverage that, maybe instead of doing that, buy a house right now and try to do that. Maybe we do want to get some kind of a loan and start this business so we can have generational wealth for our family. So that's something to also think about that I don't think we always consider when thinking about how to get funded for social equity businesses. And then Shawn, you shared such an amazing story about Berner. Can you share how you kind of found that connection, and if you've talked to other investors and how you came across those as well when you've been trying to kind of build your business and your retail location?
So So when this journey first started off, can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? So when this journey first started off, it was initially I didn't I had partners that we was just trying to raise money. I didn't want to do anything. So I had talked to Nicole Elliott, when I first got into this, and she was telling me, make sure you get with the right partners, make sure you find the right investors. Don't just jump in bed with anybody. And then I don't know if you guys know Nina Parks, which I'm pretty sure everybody know her. She came to one of our group meetings, and she was talking about partners and investing, and she said the same thing. And so then Marissa Rodriguez, who's the director of OOC, also reiterated, making sure that you have the right partners, get the right lawyer, and so and if you're gonna do it yourself, you fundraise. And so my partners, we was just trying to figure out how we was gonna do it. We was trying to put together, money and a deck, and just kind of presenting and shopping around. But it was basically investors will pull in and pull out. So one of my business partners, we knew the president of Cookies and had a conversation. And so we sat down, we went to LA, we sat down with them and we talked to them. And, again, I go back to saying this, that I didn't want to do a cookie store. I wanted to do a mom and pop store because that's just where my head was at. And so my partner was like, well, just let's think about it. This is we were trying to raise the money. We're not having any success with it, and so it kept going back and forth. And so then I sat down. Berner gave me a call. We sat down. We talked. We say, look, man, I just want to show you. And I tell this story, but I don't tell it to everybody. And this is the first time I'm really telling it publicly. Me and Berner sat down, and he was like, look, man. I'm gonna put $1.2 million in your bank account tomorrow, and we're gonna figure this out. And this is what no contract, no. I mean, we didn't even know we had our license yet. I didn't get my license to the day of my grandmother's birthday, which was December 19th. My store opened up December 21st. So we had no contract in hand. All me and Berner did was had a handshake, and he was like, I need you to trust me on this. If you trust me to show you and guide you and give you the knowledge of the other side of the world. I know you know the business side, but this weed side, if you show me and trust me, let me show you that, give me opportunity to prove myself. And I said to myself, yeah, whatever, man. You just talking. I don't want to hear all that. The next day I get a phone call from his accounting saying, hey, we need your information. We want to put this money. I was like, what? So I was kind of shocked about it. So I say that to say is that fell into my lap, and not every equity partner is gonna, or equity applicant is gonna be able to have that same luck from God. That's gonna just something like that's gonna fall in your lap. So I would just tell everybody just to put yourself out there, be diligent, be straightforward, be upfront, be very direct, be transparent. You know what I'm saying? Speak what you know about. Get you a good lawyer. If you don't have a good lawyer, you know what I'm saying? Find somebody to help you get a good lawyer, and and keep it real, because again, I say this to say this is a whole new world for me. We just today, and I know that we're talking about fundraising, but just today, we just launched Meadow today on our, we changed our POS system over to Meadow, and that's been a headache, and just trying to, and at the same time, keep the store flowing and making sure that funds is coming in and stuff like that. It's just been a whole headache. So I tell equity partners, just be straightforward, be direct, be honest, be transparent. You know what I'm saying? Speak your truth, tell folks what you want, and keep it real, because at the end of the day, that's all you got is what's come from your heart and your mind and your mouth. And if you look a person you can tell if they're being real, they're being fake, if they're being phony, or if they just want something from you. And at the end of the day, I think that I did, because I say I didn't want to do this deal, but I think at the end of the day, I made the best decision that I could ever make. And I think anybody else that was in my shoes would have did the same thing as well.
Yeah.
Amazing story. Such fantastic advice. Go ahead, Reese. Go ahead.
A lot of big players that have money like that do that. So it'll be an easier decision for you to make. I've heard of people doing that, and that would have made my decision a lot more easier if I knew I had 1.2 sitting in my bank account and knew that the partner was going to be fair. You know what I'm saying? And we already know what we already know the brand hits. So in your situation, it was
but you gotta understand something too.
But you work hard, you deserve it. You know what I'm saying? But I would have been like, I'll let it sit, resonate. So that's good. I hope more people are out there doing those kind of deals like Berner did to equity people. That's all I'm saying. I'm not taking anything from you, but we need more people to step up because I heard of people doing stuff like that. And there's not a lot of people doing that.
But you got to understand too, that I'm a lot older than a lot of folks, and including yourself. You know what I'm saying? I'm 52 years old. My kids is the one that educated me about who Berner was. I didn't know who Berner was. I didn't know who Cookie was. The first thing my kids said to me, they was like, "Oh, he's the Cookie Man." I was like, "Well, who the hell is the Cookie Man?" I don't know the Cookie Man. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who that is. I never knew he was a rapper. I never heard of Berner. And I managed a lot of rappers back in the days, as you know what I'm saying, RBL Posse, Dre Dog, Totally Insane, Master P. I managed those guys, but I never heard of Berner. But Berner's a lot younger than me. So, I didn't want that deal because I didn't know who he was. I just thought he was just a guy coming in, you know what I'm saying, trying to throw his money at me and say, "Hey, let's open up a store in San Francisco." You know what I'm saying? So when I found out who he was and I did my homework, because he did his homework on me. I didn't do my homework on him. I didn't know who he was. My kids is the ones that educated me. I got kids in their 30s. And so my oldest daughter and my middle daughter and my youngest daughter, which is 20, 27 and 34, they educated me on who he was and what he was all about. And so when I found out and I did my homework on him, I said, okay, let me see what he's all about. But then when I seen that he was real and genuine about trying to show me and give me the game, I jumped on board with that. But again, I didn't want to do no cookie store. I wanted a mom and pop store. That's where my head was at. And I'm old school. So, I'm stubborn and I know how I am. And I like to do things on my own. I work independently by myself and I work well. So I think that what I was able to, get from him, I was able to put it in my own personal use of what I already knew and twist it and ball it up. And now I jarred it up and I got the game with it now.
Timeka?
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. I know that we're over time a little bit. I know that Aria and David are trying to probably welcome the next group on. I just want to thank everybody so much, Morris, Reese, Shawn, Terrence, for kind of being so vulnerable with us during this discussion today, so honest, sharing all of your personal stories, just absolutely amazing. And it's been an honor being a part of this panel. Thank you so much, Meadow, for creating this space for us. And I look forward to building with all of you after this as well.